Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Levittown Public Library posture alignment with Kimberly Sabat. And today is Monday, October 17th at 11 a.m. Take it away, Kimberly.
Taking it away. Thank you very much again, Jackie. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a while. We had a little break. I haven't seen you in a few weeks, so a couple weeks. So what's up? Anybody have any questions out there? Okay, that's it. So I guess you're ready to work. Anybody have any movements that have been working for them that they'd love to see today, or movements that they just hate doing? And everybody's already late. Well, not everybody, but you're sitting on the floor expecting something really easy at first, aren't you? Fine. I'll let you get into it nice and easy. It's not going to be easy today. We're going to give you a nice, strong workout towards the end, but I will set you up for that workout and I'll give as many modifications as I can. Static back, go ahead. Everybody okay with the static back for 5 minutes? Okay, everybody's like, oh, thank God. So static back, for those of you that are out there that haven't seen this before, we are going to be laying on the floor, going to be utilizing the floor so that we can straighten the body before we strengthen the body. Always straighten before we strengthen. If you can't lay on the floor, you can absolutely sit 90 degrees in a chair. All I'm doing is turning my body. This is basically me sitting in a chair. So if you cannot get onto the floor, you can certainly walk your butt all the way back into a nice, strong, square chair with your feet flat on the floor. As you lay on the floor, what are the caveats that I've spoken about before? What do you want to do that's a little bit different if your body isn't hitting the ground in certain places? You guys want to remind me of that? What do we do? When would we use a pillow? You'd put the pillow behind you. If somebody's head is having a hard time hitting the floor, would I use a pillow? Yeah, say what, why? Very good. You want it to be aligned. So if someone's head isn't hitting the floor, are their faces pointed towards the sky? No, they're pointed behind them. Due to the position of their what? Their neck, which is taking a cue from the position of the shoulders, and that's taking a cue from the position of the pelvis. Very good. But those three body parts that I mentioned, how many of those are we affecting with this move? All of them, yes. See, isn't this such an easy class? Might as well be kindergarten. Where do I put my hands in a perfect world? 45 degrees? 45 degrees from my head? Like a Y? YMCA? No? Oh, 45 degrees from my hips. Okay. I want you guys to try this. I want you to roll your shoulders up off the floor, almost like you're pitching a tent up towards the ceiling with your shoulders. And then tell me how that feels down your arms. I watched it happen. Some of you people had to flip your hands over so that your palms were down. Some people are stuck in that position, so they can't go palms up with their arms at 45 degrees. So what do you think I can do to modify that for them? Pat's trying, she's figuring it out. Can I bring the arms out to a T? Will that help? Yeah, right. So if you're out there and your shoulders are so rounded forward that your elbows are bending and it's kind of forcing you to flip your palms down because of that, try bringing your arms out to a T and see if that helps. Worst comes to worst, just leave the palms down. We got to leave the body where it'll take it. Nice, easy move. It's not an easy move. It's a simple move, but it is not an easy move. Very nice. Little over 2 minutes left now. How many of you do this move at home? Yes. How long do you do it for at home? A day. A day. A day. How many of you have the tower at home, or a version of the tower where you hang your leg off of the doorknob? So if you have a whole day to lay in this position, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to go through the move called progressive supine. Where supine, groin, progressives, whatever it is. It takes an hour to do. And you just lay there just like this. One of your legs is going to stay in this position. The other leg, if you have the tower, it's going to be in the tower. And we're taking the hip from flexion all the way down to the floor over the course of a half an hour to an hour into full extension. And you could do that by hanging your leg off of the door handle. You could position yourself close enough so that you can hang your leg off a door handle with a strap. And every 5 minutes, you lower the leg about 4 inches. Sometimes every 10 minutes if you really want to do a good one, but your leg must hang. Linda, why are you doing this with me? I love that psychology of no matter what, that person on stage, if they're the instructor, you have to mimic them. And I love that part about you because you're a learner by doing. You're by doing. That's how I could tell, because every time I do something, she's mimicking. But what I'm describing is your leg is hanging. This is a very relaxed position that you hang out in. If you look up the E word tower, you'll find it. Send you guys a link if you want to. You guys know my name, right? It's my full name at Gmail. So if you want to know, I will send you my real cheap version of the tower, how I did it before I actually bought a tower. You never saw that? All right, I'll send it to you. I know your email address. I'll remember. So if you guys want some info on that, it's way more effective than static back in a lot of ways. It unwinds the body in a lot of ways, And if you haven't ever done supine groin progressive, I highly suggest it. So email me. All right, what are we going to do next? We're going to do femur rotations and then some strengthening work. So we're going to stay in the supine position. I'm going to take the chair away from you because we're going to work on some rotation. I'm going to start out with knee drops if we can. And I have had one of my students do knee drops with her back sitting against the wall because she just couldn't get on the floor because of her neck at one point. So I did have her put her back against the wall and she tried to. These are hard to do sitting. It's way easier to do when you're laying down in the hook lying position. So it's not a big deal. But if you're in that hook lying position, we're going to keep the feet hip distance somewhere thereabouts. And we're going to drop back and forth. Try to keep your feet parallel to each other. Now, for people who cannot do internal, I was just thinking about that. Thank you, Denise. Who cannot do internal hip rotation. If internal hip rotation bothers the heck out of you, you're going to keep your feet closer, almost touching if you need to. The wider your feet go, the more internal rotation you're going to get on this one. So I know 2 of you out there have an issue with this. So I'm going to start you out with these called knee drops. We're just going to do a set of 20, and then we're going to go into isolated femur rotation. So it's going to take the pelvis and the lower back out of it, and we're going to work on just the hips, back and forth. Take these off. They're bothering me. Back and forth. And if you're not sure what I just explained with the whole internal rotation and the feet closer, give it a try. So try it with your feet narrow. And then try it with your feet wide and see what happens. Ooh, that's a little different. Right. The wider your feet go, the more internal rotation you're going to get. And some of you can't do that internal rotation without pain, but you've progressed. So maybe you'll try it again and you'll be like Gloria and go, oh, wow, it's different now. Yes, because your body's changing. Good. So I'm going to move on to supine isolated femur rotations, one leg at a time. So I'm just sticking my legs out, hip distance. I'm going to bend one of my knees. I'm going to work on the leg that's straight. So this one, I love to keep my hand on my hip while I do this work because I only want the hip to move. in and out. My foot looks like a windshield wiper. I have my knee locked out straight. I have my ankle locked in dorsiflexion. So I am not Barbie footing it, and I am not moving my ankle. I want you guys to use your own eyes, look down at your leg while you're doing this movement, and make sure that your foot isn't doing the motion. I want your hip to do it. From here to here should be locked in place. Good. I like that. Pat just went bam, right there, hand on hip, get to work. Easy there, Barb. Try not to twist your whole body when you're doing it. Try to keep it just in the hip. In and out. Whole body shouldn't move. And we're going to switch the leg. We're going to go for 20 on one leg, 20 on the other leg. Sometimes they do 10. In and out. Is it okay if you pull your ankle, Barb, into dorsiflexion? Yes, pull it the other way. Yes, and hold it there while you do the movement. Move right from there, in and out. That's it. All the way out, all the way in. Much better. Feel a little different.
Okay.
That's it. And you feel the muscle revealing itself as you come in. It pops up. That's a tensor fascia latae. That's what we're going after here. It's a secondary hip flexor. Carol and Tom, you both are so sweet. You're both doing it wrong. I love you copying each other. You're so cute. It's a rotation, not an abduction, adduction. So it's this. It's this. That's it. It'll probably feel a lot easier if you do that. Right? Right? You're like, oh my God, this is so hard. Now, Tom, there's a lot coming out of your ankle. Move only from the hip. You can rest the leg on the floor if it's okay. In and out only from this area. No ankle, none of that. Keep that still. Move from here, in and out. Yes. You okay, Carol?
Yeah.
Good. Switch your side.
Tom is going to be Terry.
Terry, Tom. Oh, because it says Tom Terrell on it, and I just switch them all up. It says Tom Terrell. Terrell.
She's calling me more.
Oh my God, I should call you more. I have it switched on there, and her first name was her last name, and now I've stuck in that psychology. I'm so sorry.
And it's not written as Terry. So
Right there. Move only from the hip. Good. Guys, keep switching back and forth. 20, 20, 20, 20. I'm sorry, Miss Terry. I looked at the paper and I just read that it is Terry. And I'm like, it's Tom. I'm going to talk to administration around here and say, fix that, because I can't think for myself. I read right from the paper.
perfectly. Well,
Keep going. Keep going. I'm just going to stop the rest of your body from moving. Does the internal rotation bother you? Does it hurt when you go in?
no, not at all.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, feels,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
So the whole like keep the other leg still.
Yes, the whole body. A great point here. The whole body stays still. The only thing that's moving is the one hip. That's it. Did we hit 60 each side? You've switched 6 times? Not yet, right? Okay, so keep on switching. We're going 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. While I walk around and just kind of help you guys out a little bit. I'm catching a few of you lifting the leg off of the ground. One of my other students did that, and she found that was helpful. She actually rested her foot on something that lifted it up. But this isn't a lift, this is a rotation. So leave the foot on the floor if you can, if it's not terribly uncomfortable, and rotate in and out.
Sticks.
Your foot sticks,
Yeah.
dorsiflex from your ankle. Yes, now do it. No ankle from hip, all from here, all from there, in and out, in and out. There's a lot of ankle movement on you. Very little movement from here, but you'll get it. These will unwind you. It's tough, right? Challenging. How many of you are finding challenge? How many of you find it's getting a little bit easier as you go back and forth through the reps? Good. Keep on working until you're balanced. so that, yeah, I'm kind of, if I did 5 on this side, I'll do 5 on the other side, because we're going to move on to cross crawl. We're moving on to cross crawl next. Cross crawl, for those of you at home, pretend I'm still laying on the floor. This is the easiest way to show you. So I'm laying on the floor. It's a right arm, left leg kind of thing. This is what it should look like laying on the floor. Beautiful. In a perfect world, the back of your hand should hit the floor, no elbow bending. If you have to bend your elbow to hit the floor, just don't hit the floor. I want you to keep the elbow straight as you bring the arm up and over behind you. We've got to retrain the shoulder and the back and the hip how to work together. This is not Pilates, so I'm catching a few of you doing this old school Pilates thing. And Mr. Joe Pilates had some really nasty looking posture issues, I'll tell you. So it's this, it's up and over, back to start. Up and over, back to start. This is not Pilates. It's a different style because as you do this, tension is building in the abdominal area, in the back area, and we don't want that. I'm trying to repattern you. So you have to go move, break, move, break. It's a different style. You are bending the knee. Yes, yes, Terry, you're bending the knee and you're pulling the knee in towards your chest, trying to keep your shin as parallel to the floor as you can. The other thing is you want the arm and the leg to move at the same time. Try and figure that one out. Arm and leg, same time, then back to start. Barb, come back to start. Arms at your sides, do one side at a time. Up and over, back to start. Up and over, back to start. Give it a try. Up and back. Yes, up and back. Beautiful. Last thing I'll tell you is I want you to take a look at your knee. So as you're pulling it in towards your chest, do not let the hip rotate out. That was for the last movement. Now we're pulling straight up towards the chest. So I don't want your hip to start abducting or rotating externally. You want to pull the knee straight up in line with your hip. Doesn't go out to the side. Unless, you got a different shape or, you're 8 months pregnant. In that case, you probably wouldn't be laying on your back. But do the best you can. Keep that knee straight in line. Come back to start. I'm still catching some of you thinking, oh yeah, I must be doing it right. You should at one point during this routine be coming back with both legs straight and both arms on the ground. I don't want to bark out any more names, but I still see 2 of you doing it wrong. So really pay attention. If your arms are continuously moving and they don't end up on either of your sides at one point in this exercise, you're doing it wrong. You guys are going to be here forever. Here I come. Pause. Arms at your sides. Pull them right to your sides. One side, go. Pick it. Good. And back to start. Right, now the other side. And back to start. Try not to bend the elbow while you're going through. If you bend the elbow, it starts changing what goes on in your shoulder. So give that a try, keeping the elbow as straight as you can. Even if you can't make it to the floor, that's okay. Give that a try. Leg 2, leg 2. Beautiful. I'm going to move this back just a little bit so you're not bumping into it. Good, beautiful. And right, and then again. It's okay, it's okay. It is, it's what she said was, oh, it's psychological. And it's a little bit more than that. It's neurological. It's neurological, which is why I'm being such a stickler with the form here, because this is going to help repattern you back to neutral. I've got one client, she can't do opposite sides. She keeps screwing up and does right arm, right leg. And right, yeah, right. So she's lost her pattern. And we have to bring this back. I'm so done with this. I'm sick of seeing you do it. Let's go into a hip crossover stretch. Ready? Hip crossover is really simple. We come from the hook lying position. The arms are going to go out to the sides, palms face down. You're going to cross the right ankle. Let's do that one first. Right ankle to left knee. No cheaters. Here's how you cheaters cheat. You slide your leg and then you drop the legs. Don't you dare. Cross the ankle to the knee. Twist slow enough so you know your foot isn't sliding. Yes, everything will eventually reach the floor. But if that doesn't happen for you, no big deal. All the way over and stay there. Talk to me about what you're doing with your top knee, which should be your right knee if you follow my direction. Right, you want it to point to the ceiling. So what's happening in the hip? Right, someone said we're rotating. Somebody else said we're pushing out. Yes and yes. So we're outwardly rotating from the top hip. Some of you have the ability to go way far away and your foot comes off the floor. Do I want that? No. Remember the last 2 weeks ago when we met and I was giving you all the information I could on this one move and it was like overload? You want that foot to be flat on the floor. At the same time, you're drawing the knee away from the hip. Where should your head be in a perfect world? Looking towards the right hand if you can. If you can make it all the way to the floor, great. Nice bent knee. Both of your knees are bent, aren't they? You're looking great, Barb. What do you say we hang out here for 2 minutes? One therapist told me it's a good idea to try out some of these moves, even for 3 minutes straight, to get a real full effect and see how the body unwinds. If you cannot do this, you could stay in it for 2 seconds or not at all. You could skip it. You could do this sitting in a chair. Get creative. Twenty more seconds. Anybody got cramps? Wonderful. Good. I love it. What's this move called? Hip crossover stretch. That was a beautiful whisper. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, switch. Switch. Lovely. I loved what I saw. So some of you realized, wow, I twisted so much. I have to pick up my butt. I have to move it over. You're starting from scratch again. You want to keep your form nice and clean. Feet are hip distance, ankle over to the knee, twist. If you've gotten to the floor and you've done this so often, you need a little bit more. What was that question? No, it can't be. It can't be because you're twisting so much that the hip is actually lifting. We're rotating the pelvis. The question was, is my butt supposed to be on the floor fully? No, it's not. One side of your butt will be. The other side will be off of the floor because we're twisting that much. So the thing that I didn't notice for years until a therapist caught it on me was that when I come over to the twist, my foot started everting. So I was twisting my foot out in order to complete the move. And in other words, my knee was pointed in a direction and my toes were not in the same direction. So he just pointed my toes in the same direction as my knee and boom, there came the foot cramps that finally went away. And now my hip was talking through my knee to my foot in a more balanced way. Linda, stop walking your foot over to the side and cheating. You think I'm not catching that? I thought so. Okay, foot cramp. Okay. Got that foot cramp. Sometimes even doing this with no shoes might alleviate some of the cramps. 20 more seconds. The only exercises that I use shoes for are if I'm working outside for gravity drop. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Gravity drop's the only one where I'll use the shoes because they really stymie so much of the movement. Come on out, everybody. 10 pelvic tilts, please. You can do these sitting in a chair. You could do them on the floor. All we're doing is rocking the pelvis back and forth. So it's a good thing that I wore all black today so that everybody at home can't see what I'm doing. I'm just going to leave my hands in front of me so you can see I'm just rocking my pelvis back and forth. That's all I'm doing. Everybody on the floor, you're doing the same thing. It's like cats and dogs without your shoulders getting involved. Just leave the arms nice and relaxed. Rock your pelvis fully forward and fully back. It's not a bridge. So we're not picking the body up. If you're not watching me up front and you're just following my words and you're unsure, I want you to take a peek up front. Sorry if there's chairs in the way, but this is pelvic tilts. When you tilt the pelvis, there's 2 directions it can go, posterior and anterior. That's it. Any other direction, it wouldn't be called a tilt. Here's a trick question. Can you tilt your hip joint? It's a trick. I'm starting to catch you guys up on let's say anatomical lingo. What are the movements your hip can go through? Oh, you hate me now, huh? Rotation, right? Let's give you an easier one. What are the movements that your elbow can go through? Ooh. Okay, I'll give you a few movements and you tell me if your knee can do it or not. Rotation.
Multiple choice.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. Rotation, flexion, extension, and abduction. What can your knee do out of those four? Speak up. Can your knee rotate? It better not. That's right. That's actually your hip rotating and your ankle rotating. Your knee can do two things. It can extend and it can flex. That's it. It has a little bit of leeway in between. But if you use up that leeway and that cushion, you're headed for a fall. Your knee should not be able to rotate. It is a stable joint. The rotation goes above and below those two joints. Come on out, everybody. We're going to stand up. So I'm going to catch you up with how the joints work in the body and therefore work on our cars and any other mechanical device because we live on planet Earth. We need some things to be stable and some things to be mobile. That's how things stay together and move. That's how we were built, whoever built us. This is how we're built. So we've got stable, mobile, all the way up. Let's do something while we stand here. 3-position toe raise. That's a good idea. All right. This is easier to do when you're hanging on to something at home, but we're just going to do it here without anything. I'm going to keep the feet straight ahead, and we're going to go through 3 positions. Feet are going to be straight for 10. Feet are going to be out for 10, and feet are going to be in for 10. But all that movement's going to come from the hip, not the foot. Thanks there, Lynn. You got it. So 3-position toe raise is like so. You're going to lift up and lower. Lift up and lower. Now take a look down at your feet and make sure you're not doing something like this. I'm going to try show everybody at home that I didn't shave. You see how I rotated out, right? That is actually supination of the ankle. The other way would be a pronation. I don't want you to do either. I want you to stay stable and straight across. This is way easier to do. And usually you do it in the therapy version. It's hanging on to a door on either handle and leaning back so your hips stay over your heels. When I do this here, I have to go forward just because of balance. There's nothing to hang on to. Hips have to go forward because I'm so big up top. So try with rotate your hips out, which is going to rotate, make it look like your feet are going out. So we have everted feet from outward rotation of the hips. Go. The ankles really tend to supinate. Nice, everybody. Very nice. Very nice. Caught that, right? So we've got the foot stable, ankle mobile, knee stable, hip mobile, pelvis stable, lower back mobile, up and up and up and up and up. If you've got mobile, but honestly, does anybody work on cars? Feet in now. Anybody ever work on cars? Anybody ever use a wrench, a socket wrench? Anyone? Yes? Okay. Have you ever put an extension on the socket wrench? Have you ever put an extension on the socket wrench that has a swivel because you couldn't quite get in somewhere? Who's put 2 swivels on one? Swivel here, swivel here. You can't hold the thing straight and get any movement out of it. You need stable, mobile. New information today. Second round, feet straight ahead. Go again. You can hang on to a chair if you're feeling like, whoa, it's not working. This is not a practice in balance per se, but it is a practice in retraining ankles to talk to hips. So if you find you're coming up high and this is happening every time, just hang on to something. I'd rather you keep some form and retrain. Get out. There's a lot of supination on that one with you, Denise. I see a lot of that when you come up to right there. A lot of it. So try and think about see it, right? Think about putting that pressure more towards the instep of your foot when you do that. So we're in the outward rotation or everted position. We got 3 rounds. Anybody feeling this in their lower back? All right, you will next.
Like a jack in the box.
That is it. I want that Jack in the Box right there. I want that for Christmas. I want the Linda Jack in the Box. Wrap yourself up, put a little photograph of you. Send it to me. So we're doing internal rotation, toughest one. Can't do internal rotation, just keep the feet straight. That's okay. Or skip it. No big deal. We got one more round after this. Am I doing it, Ma? Am I doing it? Am I doing it? You look great. Okay. All right. If you want to give it a try, you go. She's doing it. She's doing it. Does anybody remember weeks ago, internal rotation, what that did to her?
Don't do it.
Right. Because of that effect that we had. Straight again. Here we go. And now she's trying all the internal rotation because she's a stubborn lady. I can appreciate that. But she's noting that she's getting progress in her body. And where this center to the ground in pain, now she's doing it and turning it into an exercise. So we're feet straight ahead, just finishing out. You're very welcome. It was all you. All I'm doing is just throwing mud at the wall and it's stuck on you. It's just stuck. Position 2, feet are out. What's this move called again? Anybody remember? 3-position toe raise. You can call it anything you want. But just if you find, wow, this is helpful for me, if you can remember the name, maybe you could look it up at home. Maybe you could email me and say, hey, how does this go? I've got videos of this stuff. Last position and last round. Oh, here comes my foot cramp. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's going away now. Cramps are okay. Yes, I do have my feet touching because I can make them to get to that point, but they'll slide because I'm on my socks. You want the toes to be touching. I'm going to take a few exercises out because we don't have too much wall to work with. We're going to do the high intensity challenge. You don't have to make it intense. And if you want, you can go home and you could listen to Pete Eward talk to you while he talks you through this routine. It's a nice one. I'm going to take my socks off because I'm going to slide. I'm going to take a spread foot forward fold just so you guys can get set up for this next move. So spread foot forward fold is the feet open real wide and the feet are going to be parallel to each other. Now it's really easy to bend over and just hit the floor, but did you see where my pelvis went in relation to my heels? When I did that, I'll stand up again. Just watch what happens to my pelvis as I go hit the floor. So is my hip still in line with my ankle and my knee? Did everybody watch it? It went right back, and it has to because of balance in the body. So I'm going to make it harder for you guys. I want you to keep your ankle, knee, and hip in the same line, which means we need something in front of us to stop us from getting a bloody nose. So if you cannot hit the floor and hold yourself in that alignment, you just put the chair in front of you. But here's the kicker. I don't want you to just fold over and try and stretch. I want you to try and do this with your lower back. So I want you to pull the pelvis into extension. So we're pulling just like you do when you sit on the chair, right? We sit in extension. I want you to try to do that in this move, which means once you do that and you try to pull into extension, whoa, I can't even touch the floor if I wanted to because I have to do this to hit the floor. But I don't want that. Does everybody follow? So stay in pelvic extension. Use the chair in front of you if you have to. We're going to hold there for 1 minute. Oh, I have it set for 2 minutes. You didn't want that. You want 1 minute because this is a hard move. Knees do stay straight. Feet are parallel on this one. So take a look down. Make sure your feet are parallel. You're going to feel maybe some cramping in here because I pulled you from here to here. We're going internal, right? That move we did earlier today. 1 minute. Thighs are tight if you can make them, but your pelvis is in extension. This is not, oh, I'm rounding my back and I'm just hanging out. This is a different style. This is spread foot, forward fold. Eventually, your legs should be holding you up and your fingers should be able to come off of the floor and still stay in that position. Legs need to hold you. The hips need to remember. 20 seconds. That was my point before. So it's not, no, it's this way. Other way. Yes, but from the hip, not from the back. Me and one other lady have a back that folds like a suitcase. So we cheat by doing this instead of actually getting the pelvis to do it. Come on up. Let me clear up some wording so that no one's confused anymore. Because you said, is your pelvis in or out? Does everybody know what she meant by that? Nobody knows what she meant by, I know what she meant by that. So it's one way, I know exactly what she meant by that. So she's talking about anterior and posterior tilt. So how else could we describe it when we don't have those words? Well, is it under or back? Is it in or out? So she's using layman's terms, which I love. I love. So which way is in, as you described to me? Is in here? Is out here? So that's out? Oh, that's out. So her idea of out was anterior tilt, sticking your butt out. And putting the butt under is in. Let's change it. This butt under, posterior. She has a superior posterior. Anterior. Posterior, anterior. Posterior, anterior. It describes the tilting of the pelvis. I don't expect you to remember it, but you will get it. You will get it. Now, what was I explaining before when we were doing the move? I said, put yourself in pelvic extension, right? And I showed you. Is that posterior or anterior? Anterior, right. Good. Now let's turn it into a workout. You do not have to touch your toes when you do this. You could touch a knee, you could touch a shin, but just like the move that we just did, I want you to keep your hips and your pelvis staying in the same spot. Remember how I explained stable, mobile? You're going to move that mobile area of the low back and forth and back and forth to touch a toe, back and forth, back and forth. I don't care how fast you do it. I'm going to give you a minute to do it. This is how it looks when I do it. Let's try. I haven't done this in a long time. So I'm here. I am not dropping a hip or bending a knee. It's not going to kill you if you do, but I'm trying to keep this in the same spot I stuck it in and go back and forth. That's it. I don't care how fast you go, how slow you go. Try to keep your feet parallel and go back and forth. This is just toe touches. Pretend your butt is against the wall. I also don't want movement from you twisting through the hip. So you want to stay in the same spot. It's also not just swinging your arms back and forth in an apish way. But that's cute. I like that. So I'm staying here. I'm not twisting. There's no, because that's actually coming from my hip if you look. So if some of you are actually dropping a hip in order to get this done. No hip work, stays in place. Think of it like a windmill. 20 seconds. There is a version of this where you can bend your knee and turn it into kind of a squat, but today we're doing this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Mountain climbers are next. This is going to get your heart rate up. Yes, so if you don't want that and you don't like that, you can do it slower. You can put your hands on the wall if you want to, but my mountain climbers, they're on the floor. It's the same idea that we did when I did cross crawl. When you do it, you want to pull the knee in towards your chest. It's not going outside of my elbow. It's staying right in. Those are my mountain climbers. Yours might look like this. Maybe that's your mountain climber. Maybe this is your mountain climber. You can do stork walk. Same idea. Stork walk for a minute. Can do that. Good modifications? Good. 20 of them. Go. I'm done with my 20. Stork walkers, keep going for 20 seconds while I catch my breath. Beautiful. Good. Elbows back, pick the knees straight up. Straight up. Very nice, Terry. Linda, lovely as always. Barbara, beautiful. Very nice. Pat, everybody looking good. Air bench is next. We don't have enough wall space. If some of you know air bench and you want to grab a wall, go for it. Otherwise, we're going to do a free squat. It's free. Free squat. We're also go for it. Spread about if you want to. Free squat. You want to think about sitting in pelvic extension again. So I want to keep that nice S curve in my spine. In yoga, there's a tendency to kind of to do a bandha lock. This is not chair pose. So I want you to sit in extension. So you want to try to keep that S curve in your spine when you're doing the squat. Feet do stay hip distance as usual. I put my arms out so I can keep my shoulders back and give myself extra work. We got a minute here. Sit in the chair that isn't there. That's it. All you other gals and guys out there, you might be doing an air bench against the wall, looking good. Your heels, they look just to me like they're a little close to the knees. If you walk the feet out a little bit further and then push that lower back into the wall, pretend my hand's back there and you want to smash it. Does that feel okay? I don't have my arms out here just because I'm squeezing my shoulders together. They are together on my back. Somebody's over there, right? Good. I want to be careful because she's got socks on. Careful there, Miss Pat. Is that okay? Time. Done. There's your air bench or squat. Oh, these are nice and easy. So we're going to do hip ups, the tabletop, like in Pilates. So we're going to get it back down to the floor. Can't get on the floor? You can do this from a chair. It's just going to be a little harder and start to involve your arms. So it's just a tabletop. I'm trying to use my legs to extend and back down, but we're going to do it from the ground. Everybody follow? Lay on the ground. I just modified for people who can't get on the floor with me. Feet are hip distance. This is it. Like a bridge. There's a, what?
How far are your feet apart?
Hip distance. There's a harder version of this, a full-on tabletop where you can put your hands on the floor and lift the whole body like a table. However, I want you guys to pay attention. I'm catching some of you. Feet love to go wide on some of you. They love to be wide. Try to keep them hip distance. Not sure what you're doing? Ankles and knees together, walk them out, heel, toe. That's usually hip distance. So a full-on tabletop might look something like this and back down. Not good for those of you who have shoulder issues. I even feel my shoulder, not happy with it, but it's better than it used to be. So my body needs it. So you can bridge, tabletop, or do it off of the chair. Find your challenge point. We're doing it for a minute. Go up and down. Where would you like them to be? I just showed you 3 different versions of it. The first one was sitting in the chair. Lift your butt up off the floor. Timer's going. Lift it. Feel good? Back down. Again. Keep going. Good. If that feels like, oh, you know what? I could probably do a little bit more. You're going to sit up with me and you're going to place your hands on the floor and you're going to lift up with me. You can't or you won't. There's a big difference. Try it on your elbows because you're still laying there doing nothing. So do something. There you go. 8 seconds left and she just started. There you go. So there's your tabletop. The positioning of the hands is going to change what goes on in your shoulder. I can't tell you which way is better or worse. One way is harder. One way is going to ask you to do more outward rotation and require different muscles of you. Some people say, hey, we'd rather do this because it promotes more opening of the shoulders with the fingers pointed behind, and you'll feel that as you lift. Other people say, no, it requires more muscle to turn the fingers in, so do it that way. Yeah, whatever, you figure it out. Good? Moving on, stand up, jumping jacks. 1 minute. Don't like how those sound? Here's how your jumping jack could look. If that looks like it feels lame for you, then give it a little bit of pepper. Some of you might not be able to clap your hands overhead. I wasn't able to after I did the whole shoulder thing, but now it's back. So try to keep your feet parallel, try to get the clap overhead, but if you can't, do what you can. You could slow it down and go, I have a shoulder injury and I'm not sure about this, so let me just see. Do I want your elbows bending? No, do what you can. I do the clap because I can, and I don't want to lose it. It's quite a strong pull in my shoulder, but it's not hurting me. And I know it feels good. So I'm doing it. Also, because I won't do it the rest of the week, you guys are looking at me, so I have to. Time. Yay. Yay, cats and dogs. Nice, easy one. You could do it on hands and knees or do it in the chair. Cats and dogs, what are we doing with the pelvis? What's going on with the pelvis in cats and dogs? Anterior, posterior, right. What's going on with the shoulders? New one. What movements can the shoulders go through? Kind of a trick question, because I don't really tell you in a way that I want you to kind of remember and retain it. I just kind of speak to you. Your shoulder blades, they can retract and protract. They can rotate as well, but as it relates to this exercise, when is your shoulder blade retracting and when is it protracting? Yes. So she used her layman's terms again. So she said protracting up, retracting down. Yes, perfect. So her idea of down was anterior pelvic tilt, belly coming towards the floor, chest coming towards the floor. Shoulder blades retract. They protract when the upper back goes up. Very good. Very good. When we talk the same language, I can give you a cue and you'll know exactly what I mean. If I say up to her, it'll be down to her. That's I'm trying to bring you all on board the whole language thing. Doing great. Right. So not so much in the shoulders. You and I have the similar situation. And drop in. That's it. Yeah, it's a little stuck. And drop in. Static extension helps that, believe it or not. And I know you hate that move. The other thing that helps prep you for that is reverse presses laying on the floor. That made my Cobra very different. It opened up a whole world for me. Doing reverse presses laying on the floor and doing those little squeezes opened up my Cobra. Because my Cobra, when I used to do it in yoga, it was all in my mid back. Shoulders stayed stuck and I did this. Shoulders did nothing. Now they can come back. And I could finally feel the heart chakra open. Everything got more full. So reverse presses will definitely help that. We can't finish out the whole workout. Come on. Downward facing dog. And we're actually going to end with a little bit of static back if we can. So you're gonna put your hands on the floor, put your knees on the floor if you can. Can't do this, we'll do it on the wall. Tuck your toes, 1 minute downward facing dog. Feet are hip distance. And a modification for this on the wall, same idea. Place your hands on the wall, same position as downward dog. It doesn't feel good for people who have shoulder injuries, so a wall position might feel better. And if you stance the hands out wider for a shoulder injury, that could be another modification. 30 more seconds. Again, this should be a pullback from your hips, not a pushback from your hands. So if I took your hands away, you guys would most likely get a nice bloody nose, which is right. It almost feels like you're doing a handstand without taking your feet off of the floor. Last 20 seconds. So when I do this move, I tend to bend my knees really deep and pretend I'm behind me, putting my fingers in my hips, pulling me back. I want you to weight over your hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on forward. We got 4 minutes of class left. Oh, child's pose feels great after this, right? You little yogis? That's another good one. Okay. Feel free to static back it if you want to. We didn't use the blocks or straps once, did we? Good. Can't believe this class went so fast. My goodness. Here you go. Here's some toys that you won't use. All right, guys. So we're finishing out in a nice static back. I had another idea to do today, but we just ran out of time. We'll save it for next week. When you do the reverse presses, Denise, I want you to pay attention to, are you feeling any of that in your upper trapezius? Okay, bring your elbows closer to your body, like 45 degrees. Try it again. Did it move? You may end up putting the arms in a static back position with the palms up and doing your reverse presses from there. Like I said, you and I have the same thing going on. We tend to get really stuck in the shoulders. So that should be felt in the rhomboids in the mid trapezius area, right between the shoulder blades. A light squeeze. Remember, you and I love to kill it. So keep it light so that the body can remember where to put it. Right in between the shoulder blades. Does that, I'll come over and help you out. Guys, for now, that's it. We're ending in a static back, and I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you next week. I'm coming over. You're welcome. You guys